The willingness to be free is immeasurable. And the fight for freedom is a fight we will never back down from. When our rights are threatened, we have no choice but to rise and push back. We fight for what we love, for what matters, for the soul of this nation. Our voices united will break through the noise and force change. With real stories, real people, and real voices, we are here to reclaim what's been stolen. The human spirit, the courage to speak, and the fight to stay free. Your rights and freedoms are not negotiable. They are everything. For those silenced, suppressed, and cast aside. For the voices we've lost, for the forgotten. We will not stand down. We raise our voices for you. A true alternative is rising. The power still belongs to the people.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Politi-Shock, a very special edition on Tuesday night. And we are joined by somebody very special. I want to thank you, as always, Steve Stern, for your contributions to America, for the greatness that you exude always, and being the living legend and somebody who fights for nonstop freedom and gives everybody a voice. So thank you for all that you do.
Welcome to Flag Day 2025, Voices of Valor. Hosted by Steve Stern and Raj Doresan, with special guest speakers who represent the true American spirit. And now, get ready to welcome your hosts. Flag Day, Voices of Valor 2025. Live on Saturday, June 14th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Only on the Stern American Rumble channel. Don't miss it. We're almost there.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And that, sir, was a very powerful video. I think it's moving, and I think it's something that's inspirational. So, Steve Stern, take it away, sir, and welcome to the show.
So we saw how the flag came out, and that I'm going to tell you how that happened and how all this is intertwined with each other. So Flag Day, June 14th, coming up this Saturday, and we will start the program opening up with that flag, and that's how we got involved. Dan Censor did this about 5 years ago in South Dakota and had 500 people opening the flag. It is 2 football fields long. It's the largest flag in the United States. So Dan, he contacted me to have our shirts on his program while he was prior to him doing this. So this Saturday, June 14th at 2 o'clock, we're going to have our new Flag Day event, which you're going to be part of, and you'll be on it. And we will also be showing this on your channel as well as many, many other channels to see this, and we'll talk about that. So the first thing, we're going to see how all this is involved, and we're going to talk about three things today. We're going to be talking about precinct strategy, which is Dan Schultz's site. We're going to be talking about our election security meeting tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about Flag Day. So Flag Day was involved with it. As you can see underneath, I am the COO of the flagshirt.com. And if you want to get your stuff for Flag Day or for the 4th of July, it's very important. We're going to show you some products today. We don't normally do that, but because these products are going tremendous, and what we've done is, for the first time in history, we're on TikTok, and we're showing different products. And our number one item on TikTok is a cowboy hat. And this cowboy hat is the number one item all over. So if you go to www.flagshirt.com, you can get your cowboy hat. We also have tremendous items like socks, so flag socks. And you can see how all these things connect with each other. Precinct strategy, the flag shirt. This is a hot item too for women, a little bag. It just started this year. And then we're going to show you some shirts. This is our cowboy shirt that goes along with our cowboy hat and stars and stripes. And our number one item, which is called Benji, and you're going to see us wearing this, both Raj and I wearing this, and the one that's natural on the event. So we're going to talk about the event too after we show you a few more shirts, which are very important. This is a little pullover with stars and stripes. This is a shirt that I always talk about, and it's a very funny thing that happened. This is our Eagle shirt. And I was watching TV one time, and all of a sudden this gentleman in a wheelchair, who is a veteran, and I'm a veteran also, comes out with this shirt on, full force, and they just bought him a new house. And I always show this because we do this for Veterans Day. It's really important, and we give out a lot of shirts to veterans. On Veterans Day, we give them this Eagle shirt. And then our next shirt, we have a lot of woven shirts. We don't talk about that too often, but this is one with the Eagle, and also with the 4th of July mode, which is very important. And then another woven shirt, which is our Statue of Liberty shirt. Everything we do is with the Statue of Liberty for freedom. And I'm going to show you a few hats also that we do. Our U.S.A. hat, this is new for ladies, and our ladies' little bucket hat. So all these items could be found by going to the flag shirt, www.theflagshirt.com. So while you're watching this, I want you to get your camera out, take a picture of the flag shirt, also our email, which is very important, because when we tell you a lot of these things that we're going to talk about today, you definitely want to email me or phone me at 954-318-6902. Now, that phone number is my business number. We won't answer it because we get a lot of crazy calls. So we will return it within 24 hours. We get hundreds of calls, so we return them all the time. A couple other important shirts. This are the one I wear on TV all the time. Steve Bannon, your show, many shows that I do. Our little flag, and it's a U.S.A. shirt. So we have a U.S.A. section, and we have a import section. These are our U.S.A. shirts. They're all polyester. They're all wick fabrics, so that if you wear them on the golf course. Now, we do a lot of tournaments. The United States against Canada, United States against different areas, all over Florida and all over New York. So everybody be wearing the same shirt. So you can get these for your golf tournament or your company. We have a company up by you that's a pool company that buys every year 100 shirts and gives them out to his customers. Also very important is sweatshirts up by you in Maine.
Yes.
People buy our little sweatshirt with America on it. And our other one, we have 3 or 4 different sweatshirts, our little stars and stripe, and our little jacket. Then we're going to show you a few other things that on hats. And these are our different hats, which are very important. USA, most of them are USA. You can see the one I'm wearing. And I wear these on every TV show, and we try to change them, our Eagle hat and our USA hat. So with all these holidays coming up, one of the most important things is our little, hang on one second, my assistant's helping us. This is a huge item for us, and this is probably our number one item for ladies. We have a number of different scarves. I always put them on, even though they're for ladies, just to show you. But you can whip this in your purse and whip it out if you go to one of the other rallies and stuff like that, because everybody was wearing these at all these rallies. So that's just some of the items if you go to theflagshirt.com. And now let's talk about our Flag Day event. And I always put on my sunglasses for a little while because everybody always buys our sunglasses. I'm in Florida. You know, I'm inside. I still sometimes wear my sunglasses on TV because it looks hip. So coming on our Flag Day event, and how is that going to be done? So we'll be on from 2 o'clock to 6:30, and we'll be on many, many different channels. And, you know, you on your channel always get a huge following for this, for our election security tomorrow and our event. And why don't you tell them a little about your channel that you're channeling on and what you've done over to help us, because you're probably one of our number one resources to get our stuff out. So give us a little background on, you know, how your channel got started and what you're doing.
I appreciate that, Steve. And obviously it's an honor for us to broadcast everything that you do. We started out in 2006. I was on traditional radio, and that didn't work out so well because I'm a little bit of an outspoken individual, and I was doing rallies around the country for a number of years and decided to take it and go online, which wasn't very popular back in the day, but you make it work as best as you possibly can. And that's exactly what I did. And now throughout these many, many years, we've built it up probably the hardest way possible, but really word of mouth and partnerships and friendships all over the world, and creating a stream that cannot be taken down, creating a broadcast that cannot be censored. And fast forward, meeting my wife, Hollis, who, of course, you know, Hollis Mahady, she got to sing at Trump International at your event, which was such an honor. And she's going to be also a part of the event on Saturday, which is so amazing for us. But she really brought things.
What's she going to be singing at the event?
She's going to be singing God Bless America again, doing a repeat performance, you know, and she is truly a powerhouse. And, you know, with Hollis, when she came into the picture, when I met her, you know, obviously I was blessed. Now I call her my wife, but she really kind of put everything else together. Because as I say, I have a face for radio, but we really moved it to a whole other world and kind of took in the modern day way of doing things, if you will. And now, long story short, you know, we're in 98 countries. We're heard by about, 60 to 64 million people a month. And we're very close to expanding now to 167 countries. And with the debut of our updated, expanded network and going on to all the smart TV channels and over the top channels and things of that nature coming very soon. And here we are. So it's very exciting, and it's an interesting adventure. It's been a long, hard road. And in this movement, in this world, you meet a lot of people, and a lot of people are, you always say, don't meet your heroes. I could say I met President Trump and got to go to the White House, and that man was still more than what I expected. Other than that, we meet a lot, and nobody really stood out as much as you. We met you at the Believers Summit, actually, down in Florida. We were doing Media Row. And you came over, and the force of nature that you are, just kind of boom, crushed it. And then I don't know why you took to us, but you did, and I'm grateful for it. And ever since then, it's just been so cool just to be connected with you and to get the chance to get to know you, talk with you, get to visit your facility, to visit the warehouse, the base of operations, if you will, was a really cool experience. You run something truly special. And you're just a true living legend. You're a true hero. And I love all the work that you do and your commitment to the fight for liberty, the fight for freedom, the fight for this country, and the fight for President Trump as well, and election integrity obviously being key. So, and here we are. And that's why this Saturday we're going to be broadcasting to our audience. And yes, we have anywhere from 6 to 8 million people that'll tune in an episode, whether it's my show, Politi-Shock, or other shows that we do. But the second highest and most attended shows are always your presentations, the election integrity calls, special events, whatever it may be. So it's nice to see that not just in America, but the world has taken to the message and the information that you're putting out there and the things that you do. So that's why we're happy that we're going to be broadcasting live on Saturday and going out to the entire world. And oddly enough, America's number one, but you have a lot of interest from some very interesting countries around the world that really like to pay attention to what you're putting out there, Steve.
Well, the good thing is, and you made a comment why we get along so well, is that because you communicate. I'm a communicator. You're a communicator. Most of the people in the United States are not communicators. They go on, they put their program on, and they go back to sleep. And that's some of the things that was going on. So Flag Day this year, very important. We've done this for 4 years now. We've got 1 million people on last year. We're hoping to get 10 million people on this year. And we're going to have Jeff Clark on, who's going to be talking from the White House this year. So I think that's very important because we've never been able to schedule anybody to come in from the White House. And we're hoping maybe President Trump will walk by. He's going to be doing this from the War Room. And it's funny because I'm on the War Room with Steve Bannon all the time, but this is the War Room in the White House, which I didn't even know they had. So we'll watch that. Then we're going to have John Solomon on. Now, John's a great guy. I was on his program a couple of weeks ago. He said it would do it. It took a long time to get it in, but it's going to be a great speech that he's going to give. And hopefully everything that he says, we'll have to watch to see what he's going on. We'll have General Flynn on. General Flynn always comes up with some great stuff for the country. He's a great patriot. We're going to have a guy on that nobody's ever heard of yet, Stefano Forte. Stefano Forte is the head of the YRs in Manhattan. And I called him in Budapest a couple of weeks ago when he was up there, or week before last, and he said he would do it. So we're going to have him on Saturday to speak. And why I got the YRs on is because young Republicans are very important in this country today. And I've never been able to reach out to the Manhattan YRs because their former president just didn't communicate. And Stefano immediately communicated. He's already given me his election integrity guy who'll be on tomorrow listening and getting a lot of people on. So Stefano, I spoke to him, like I said, in Budapest, and that was pretty funny because I called him up, had no idea he was at one of the conventions over there. So he's going to give you a lot of information. The Manhattan YRs has over 1,700 participants and is the oldest and the largest young Republican organizations in the country. So that's fantastic. Then we're going to have our famous Wayne Root on. Wayne Root has many programs. He's on radio. He's on TV. He's on Real America Voice. He's going to be talking about a lot of stuff about this country, very close to President Trump and very important. Then we're going to have somebody on that you met at maybe you didn't, at Trump International. He was there the year before. Linda Lanier. Linda Lanier is going to be phenomenal. She's told me she's going to be talking about when you fold the flag, the 10 steps and what each one of them means. And when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, what you're actually pledging to. Because many of the people who do this have no idea what they're pledging to. We go to school, we have events, and you pledge allegiance to the flag, and you have no idea what you're actually pledging to a lot of times. So she's going to explain that whole thing to you. We're going to, like I said, we're going to have Dane Sensor on because he's the guy that started this with me, and he's going to be probably talking in South Dakota where he lives, and we'll see some great stuff. Well, I don't know what he's going to say, but certainly he helped me quite a lot. We're going to have Dave Brad on. He's the Liberty University, a vice president up there, and he is always a great guy. He was the first guy that said, yes, I'll do this. And that's very important. And he gave me a couple of admirals and generals to come on also. We're going to have Colonel John Mills on. He's in Korea all the time. He's in Taiwan. He brings you that flavor from the Orient, which you usually don't get from anybody else. And he watches all the different elections. So he's on our election security thing. Then we're going to have a famous actor on, Kevin Sorbo. Kevin Sorbo was, and you saw him and met him at our Trump International thing, and he was, really fantastic. Grant Stitchfield will be on. He's a radio guy, and he's also an announcer. So you can see some of the people we're going to have. We're going to have flag experts on. We're going to have flag companies on. So we have a round real thing. We have real people. We have celebrities. We got flag experts. There'll be about 35 speakers. And hopefully a couple of coming in at the last minute. We'll sneak them in there. You'll be on there with your wives, and your wife will be singing. We have another singing, Mandy Chen and Linda Lanier. So there'll be 3 singers singing patriotic songs, God Bless America. And Flag Day is so important because we get to celebrate this. And this year, something bigger is happening. When we finish, we're going to stream the parade that President Trump has done for the 250th anniversary of the Army. And it'll be terrific. We understand there's going to be tanks in D.C. for the first time ever. So we'll see what happens on that. So you could see how important this Flag Day event is and what it's done. And, just people understanding what's going on. Because as each speaker speaks, after that will be a little history of the flag. We want to teach our young people, what the history of the flag is. And of course, this will be recorded so that you'll be able to see it at any time. And we probably will get more people to see it afterward, because a lot of times people forget this is going to be on, or this is going to be on a Saturday. So sometimes people are busy, and it's going to be exciting. And before we go on, tell me if you have any questions about Flag Day.
You know what, Flag Day, I'm pretty squared away with that one, but I want to ask you, what's the one thing that prompted you to really want to do this and turn this into an annual event and really dig deep into the symbolism, the meaning behind, and the history behind it? Because I know about teaching the youth is important, but what was it exactly that brought you to this point where you said I had to do something special, something unique?
So I'm going to tell you the whole story, because it's a funny thing that happened and how this happened. So my son came to me about 4 years ago and he said, Steve, we are the flag company. We do all kind of flag shirts and a lot of stuff we showed. He said, we should do something for Flag Day. So I said, okay. And, when I do something, as I do it big and I communicate and we get a lot of people. So what happened was I said to myself, well, how am I going to do this? Because you have to get speakers. And so I called up Steve Bannon. I called up Mike Lindell, and both of them said they would help me for my birthday. And Mike said he'll put it on his channel, and Brandon House would produce it. Well, let's say 6 weeks before the event, I'm calling Brandon House. What do we got to do? He said, call me next week. Call him next week. He said, call me next week. So now it's 4 weeks in the thing, and we hadn't got the first person to produce this. So what I did was I said to Brandon, he said, give me everything today and we'll get it done. Well, I could realize he was very busy and he couldn't do it. So I called up Jovan Pulitzer, and I said, you know anybody could help us do it? He said, well, I'll help you do it. He dropped everything he was doing. And then Mike called me up and he said, Steve, what are you doing? I said, well, look, Brandon is a little busy, so we're going to produce ourselves, but do you mind putting it still on your TV network? And he said, sure. So we produced one of the, or I say we, Jovan, myself, Anthony, Michelle Swinick, Raj Diyajami, we all worked together for 4 weeks getting this done, because we had no idea what we had to do. So I was calling up different people to do this, celebrities and everything like that. I knew a lot of people, and they said they would do it. And then I met the guy from Brighteon TV, and he said, Steve, I want to tell you something, because you've never done this before, and you're going in front of 1 million people, or how many people come on. He said, the first thing you need to do is you need to tape some of the people, because what could happen is their internet could go down, things could happen. And so we started taping a few of the people, and Tom Homan called me and said, yeah, I'll tape it because I got to go to Israel. So Tom did the tape, and he did that. And a few other people taped it. One guy lost his internet, so we put the tape on. So we were very successful, and this ran for 9 hours. Can you imagine that? Being on TV for 9 hours. And we had a lot of people sponsor it. Patriot Mobile helped us. Mammoth Nation helped us. And we had different people sponsoring, sending out emails for people to go on. And they're helping us on this one also, because, you got to have help. So this went on, and the only person that we had a little problem with to do this was Steve Bannon. So Bannon's producer said, well, he's going to be 15 minutes late. He's going to be 10 minutes early. This went on and on and on while we're doing this, because you've got to call these people to get them ready in the chat room to be ready for the next thing. So it goes on, without ado. So actually, Steve came on exactly on time. We were over the whole program in 9 hours, maybe about a minute late. And you're going to see Dave Bray on this thing. He did it our first one. He's going to do it this one. He's going to sing the Star Spangled Banner in his way of doing it, which is sensational. So there's going to be a lot of people coming on. We've got, like I said, flag experts, which we did last time. But I wanted to get flag companies in. We talked about communication. I've called 20 flag companies, and only 2 responded. That's unbelievable because you would think this is Flag Day. So we have a guy that's been in business 54 years. He's going to come on and do this. His name is, let's see, I don't remember his name because it's the first time he came in there. Steve Simmons. So we're very happy to have him on there, and we're going to have a J6er on there also. So you could see it took a lot of effort to get all these different people to come on because, you call them, they said they're going to do it. Then you don't know if they're going to do it or they're going to come on. So it's a gallant effort. And I want to thank, General Flynn and Grant Stitchfield and Wayne Root and all the people that are coming on for us and making Flag Day expert, Patrick Byrne. I mean, there's a lot of people coming on. I mean, I haven't mentioned everybody. Michelle Swinnick is going to help me. Raj is going to do a little bit with me. So it'll be super phenomenal. So we hope everybody comes on. I'm going to tell you again how to get on there. You can go to Stern American Rumble. You go to your channel. You can go to Cloud Hub, Lindell TV, Patriot TV, the War Room may sponsor it. They may put it on the next day because they're going to be live. You can go to Twitter. So there'll be so many different ways, or you can email. Again, why I told you to take my email. If you want to come directly on, you can go to stern1054@gmail.com because we'll be streaming this all over the world, thanks to you and many other people. But you are one of our prime people doing this, and we want to thank you. And I want to also talk about yournews.com because yournews.com has put this up. He helps me. I'm sure he has your video on his thing. So yournews.com is going to be going public. And if you want to buy into it, I always come on and tell you I'm an investor. I was one of his first investors. If you want to know you can invest, just email me at stern1054@gmail.com. We'll be glad to do it. So let's finish with Flag Day and talk about precinct strategy because precinct strategy is very important. And that's how we started on this. Precinct strategy, Dan Schultz and myself worked together for 4 years. I didn't know Dan, but I saw him on Steve Bannon one time, and I called him up and I said, I'm the vice chair of Broward County Executive Committee. And that's how I got on. But at that point, I wasn't the vice chair. I was just a membership director. And I told him all the great things that were happening. And he said, Steve Bannon and I worked on this for 14 years. If you go to www.precinctstrategy.com, you could see how to get involved. And that's how I got involved with him. I saw him on, I called him up, and he said, Bannon's looking for success stories. Let me see if I can get you on. Well, about 2 weeks later, Cameron texted me and asked me if I could come on tomorrow. I said I could. And I said, how do you come on? He said, well, you got to come on by Skype. I had no idea what Skype was, but my people found out. We got a subscription to Skype, and I got on. And a funny thing happened. He said he'd be on at 10:15. Well, I come on at 10. They Skype me at 10:10. I get on at 10:15, and I'm sitting here like I'm talking to you, and I hear everything that's going on. And 10:15 comes on, and they text me and said, hey, we're going to be a little late. We got to get some other people on first. And so 10:30 comes on, 10:45, and I'm sitting here sweating because that's the first time I was ever on TV. And, when you get on TV for the first time, and, I asked some people, well, is Steve Bannon big? He said, he's big. He gets millions of people on. I said, wow. So I got up at 3:00 in the morning, and I'm notes that I got to do. And here I'm sitting listening, and I'm forgetting what I want to say because it's now a half an hour later, and then it was an hour later, and it's now 11:15. I'm still not on. He said, okay, we have to move you to 11:46. Well, the show is over at 12 o'clock. So I figured, hey, maybe they wouldn't even get me on. So at that point, 11:45, they tell me you're on in a minute. Well, at that time, I forgot everything I was going to say. I lost 5 pounds of sweat because I heard everything that was going on in the background. So I get on and I say my piece the best I could. And they text me and said, hey, you did a great job. We're going to have you on again. We'll send you the clip. So if you'd like to send it out to people, you could do that. So I watched it and I was okay. But, I missed some points because I had forgotten some of the things. But it really ended up good because I put my card up like I did you, and I got a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails. That's why I say get your camera out, take a picture of this. Very important because you're going to hear more things here today that you're going to want to email me, or you're going to want to come on, or you want to call me. Now, of course, you televise our election security thing, so people are always contacting me, but with all the people you get new people all the time. So I had gotten on there, and I had got President Trump about 6 months later with Dan Schultz, Liz Harrington, Steve Bannon to endorse precinct strategy. So I talked about that, and I spoke to one of his secretaries, and they got me up in Mar-a-Lago, and we always have pictures of that, but unfortunately our computers are broken where I do that today, so our picture of Trump and myself is not there, but you've seen it many times on the show.
You get it up there.
So, with President Trump, I spoke to him, and he asked me what I thought about the 2024 election, because I was up there on one of my events 2 days before the election. I said, well, excuse me. I said, well, things have not changed, and that election integrity was still kind of weak, and nothing that I saw changed with the machines. So he said to me, well, I know you do a precinct strategy Zoom because I endorsed it, and Liz Harrington told me you did that. He said, why don't you incorporate a election integrity Zoom along with that? Well, I said, let me think about that, because I didn't know enough about election integrity. And about 5 weeks later, after calling tons of people, I started with about 5 people with our precinct strategy. And we got about 500 people on that. And that went on for numerous times with many people. I had called hundreds of people to find out who the best people are and learn about election integrity. So about 9 to 10 months ago, a lot of things changed. I was on Steve Bannon in the morning, and like I have here, I put my email on the bottom of the screen, which I haven't done, because I usually put it up like I just did here for you on this thing. And what happens is I put it up and I take it down. So people didn't really see the email all the time. And by having it on the bottom of the screen, we got 1,000 people sign up. And by getting 1,000 people sign up, it took me 4 hours during that day, because that was the day of the election integrity, to send them a link to come on. So it took me a long time to do that. And then after that, on the show, he said to me, we're going to do something different today, Steve. Because you work so hard, we're going to put this live on the War Room and on Getter. Well, that went live. And the next day, of course, you learn something every day. So the next day I learned something very important, which changed our election security meetings. Because what happened was, we started to call, they got 60,000 people on the election security call that day. And I said to myself, wow, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't I start calling? So I called you, and you said, sure, I'll put it on. And we called 148 podcasters over the next 2 or 3 months. And we had, excuse me, a couple of weeks ago, 8 million people on. So tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time, we're going to have our election security call for about 2.5 hours. We have it every 2 or 3 weeks. And it's going to be pretty big. We're going to have Colonel Conrad Reynolds on. He's up in the Congress pretty much every week, talking with one of the congressmen, Sessions, and they are presenting a bill to help with election integrity. Things like no mail-in ballots, no machines, many things that President Trump is going to want to do. Then we're going to have Lorenzo Sewell on. Lorenzo Sewell is in Detroit, and Bob Olson, who is going to be on our Flag Day event also, he got me connected with Lorenzo Sewell. Now, why is Lorenzo Sewell so important? Well, he did a video in Detroit in front of the election commission, the election board, and he brought in many, many people who told him that they never voted, they never registered, but their vote counted in Detroit. So he had close to 100 different people up at these things. And the Democrats who control this were stunned and said, well, how could that be possible? And he went back and said, well, I'm asking you that. How could that be possible? And they didn't have an answer. So he's going to be talking about that, because that's pretty big. Then we're going to have Ohio Amy on. She's from Ohio. She's going to have a big event in Venice, the American tour, where General Flynn's going to be talking, and she's going to be explaining to you what that's going to happen. Then we're going to have Marcel Sturbich on. Marcel is running for Ohio Secretary of State. Now, why is this important? Because he is a huge guy on election integrity. And he feels if he gets, and he's got a good chance because Republicans usually win. He's going to be running against an incumbent that is a treasurer of Ohio, and it's going to be a terrific race. And if he gets in, he told me that he will change everything. So that's going to be very important. So you're going to listen to him. We're going to have Joe Hoft on. Joe Hoft is going to be talking about Orange County and how the election was stolen in Orange County and why that's going to be important, because he and I work very close together. He has Gateway Pundit. He has his own show on Lindell TV, and he writes many articles about this. But he's going to bring this out because we lost 3 seats in California, Orange County. And how did we lose them? Well, on election day, all 3 seats were ahead by thousands of votes. And then they said a week later, well, we have more votes coming in because they came in late. So now the election was just a little ahead for the Republicans. Now, a week later, they brought in more ballots and they said, okay, now the election is tied. And about a week later, they now won the election. So think about this. 3 weeks after the election, they were still bringing in ballots. Well, we know. How could you bring ballots after that? So he's going to show that. And the Justice Department is investing in it. We're going to have Patrice Johnson in. She's going to be talking about Michigan, how they're trying to get rank choice voting. And she's going to explain all that. We're going to have Ed Solomon on. He's a tech guy in Nevada who's going to show you how the election was stolen in Nevada and what we can do to help on the next one. We're going to have Dr. Walter Dougherty on. He's going to be talking about Tina Peters and how Colorado, and you've been on many times. We had Tina Peters on. Now I'm going to tell you, we try to get Tina Peters on. She's been on the last 2 with video, with a video that she made. They're not allowing her to do that anymore. They've cut her off because of what she said. And, you know, we're all trying to get Tina Peters out of jail. And we ask everybody to call the governor to get him to release her. So if you call the governor in Colorado to help, we've had hundreds of thousands of people call that. And you could go on Stern American. You'll find the governor's number on there. Stern American Rumble, Stern American. If you will all join me and follow me on Stern American, sign up on X, because that's where you see all our stuff live, and that's where you see your and mine interview and many interviews. And whoever wants to put up stuff, I'm glad to help them put up stuff. Also, follow me on Stern American on TikTok, Stern American USA. So it's funny because this is the first time that we're on TikTok, and we're learning a lot about TikTok. And, you know, President Trump was going to take it off, but then he realized how many people earn their livings on TikTok and how important that is. So we're going to have also Larry Courtkind on, and he's helped us, OBBM Network. He's going to talk about his network and how people can get on there individually. And Linda Sinkowitz is our backup person all the time, because you never know who may not show up because they're ill or they couldn't make it. So she always backs us up. And actually, she's been on almost every time. And why have her on? She is up in your area in Connecticut, close to you in Maine. And she talks about how people have voted twice and many, many states. And she has all the evidence on that. So that's very important. So we're also going to have Fanny Matravani on. He is an expert on the voter rolls in Michigan, Ohio, and he'll talk about what's going on there. We're going to have Ralph Kushi on. He's in Hawaii. We try to have people from all over the country on so that you know what's going on. There'll be another 5 or 6 speakers. So if you want to come on, it's tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern time, and we're very, very happy to have you on. Now, some of the people say, well, why is this important on this election integrity calls? And I can tell you how important it is and what happened. So after President Trump won the election, and one of the things that we did that helped win the election, which never even realized it, but I got up on many programs and asked people to go to Protect the Vote, and we're asking them to go there again and sign up to be poll watchers and poll workers, because everybody's asleep for the 2026 election, except the Democrats. The Democrats are working around the clock, gaining money, gaining people to run for office. The Democrats feel we won the election, they don't have to work anymore. Well, wrong. And you better wake up, because we only have a little bit of time left, and we got to get good candidates to run. So Susie Wiles, who is President Trump's chief of staff, sent me a text saying, thank you for all you did. And we started asking, well, how did we do all these things? Well, The RNC explained to us, and many people told us because we got texts and emails from Wayne Root, from General Flynn, from Steve Bannon saying, hey, look, the people came on. They found out what to do because we had the experts on like Jovan Pulitzer, Cleta Mitchell, many people who know what to do on election integrity. So it was very exciting that these people got on and that they actually texted us and emailed us, letting us know that we did a lot for the election. And I was on 148 programs asking people to get involved. And also Turning Point, we work with Turning Point and getting people involved. And Pennsylvania, we had tons of people working. And that really helped because when I got on and they told me, we need poll watchers and poll workers in Philadelphia. We need them in Detroit. Well, we got on in every program and told us that. And we got them a lot of people in areas that they didn't have. And, Philadelphia, Detroit, Milwaukee, those are the areas where they always cheat. And people want to know why this election was different. Well, I'm going to tell you, the RNC, Laura Trump, Michael Watley, they did things a little differently this year. Christina Norton. What they did was, instead of waiting for after the election, they were getting attorneys. They had 6,000 attorneys, and they would get them to do the lawsuits prior to that. So in Detroit, when they only gave us 15 or 20 poll watchers and poll workers, and they had 1,500, they sued them, and they got another 200 or 300. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot, but going from 15 to 200 or 300, of course, they outnumbered us, and they did the same thing on many other areas. But that's the important thing that, helps. So one of my assistants who's sitting here, and I need her to do something while we're doing this, she doesn't hear me. So we have something very important that's coming up that just came in on the phone. I normally don't answer it, but sure.
Wow.
So Melissa helps us quite a bit. Anthony helps us. And I want to talk, before we close off, I want to give you a chance to ask him questions. Then I'm going to talk about a few people that help us all the time. So one of the things, it's funny because I was on Steve Bannon one time and a lady called me afterwards and said, Steve, go home and get some oxygen because you talk and you don't breathe. So I'm going to give you a chance to ask a few questions. I'm going to grab a little water and I'm going to answer a couple of questions and try to breathe because you got to learn something every time.
That's all right. I remember you gave me that advice when we sat down for the first time at the Believers Summit. You gave me some very poignant advice about how to slow it down, keep going, don't overspeak. But at the same time, I saw that one man can literally do an interview on his own. And you know what? That's what makes you so special, is the fact that you're just able to go. That's why I don't interrupt you. It would be insulting because I love it. I learned from you when I see you do your thing. It's amazing. So, and shout out to Anthony, to Melissa, to your entire crew there, because there's some great people. You have a great crew, and it was so cool to meet them in person. Something you said that I think is very important is the fact that 2026, yes, people are not taking it serious enough, and we have too many of the influencer class on social media, constantly retweeting and putting out posts that are absolutely irrelevant, that are not going to move the needle, that are not going to get people to come out and vote. We need to challenge this one. We need this. We need that. But they're not using the power of their audience or their people to actually do some good. Instead of putting up a tweet for engagement purposes and farming engagement, maybe put up something and say, hey, jump on one of these calls, learn about what you can do, because out of all those people that feign that they're so in it and they're in the fight, in reality about 10% of them actually are. There's about 30% that wonder, what can I do? But I guess I shouldn't do this because they're not saying this. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to lead people and you have to force them to get off their rears and go to work, if you will. And I think the best starting point is these calls. Again, tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time, right here to VOPUSA Radio on Rumble and all of our socials all over the world on VOPUSARadio.com. We broadcast these calls. Millions and millions and millions of people always tune in, and it's important and it's essential. But, Steve, how can people, and maybe it's just that simple, how can people get off their reliance on social media and actually get involved in the 3D world and actually do something? What can they do now to actually
join a Republican executive, county, town committee, central committee, or they can join a club around that. So let's just give you Broward County. We have 250 members. We have 800 slots. That means we don't have enough people working. Now, I'm going to tell you a good thing here for your people that are conservative and Republicans, that throughout the country, I just got a list of all the Republicans that are being signed up. So I'm going to give you a couple. In Queens, New York, 6,000 Democrats have turned to Republican. Now, this is happening all over the country.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Democrats that are signing up and changing parties because the Democratic Party has gone so far to the left. And what happened was one of our friends did a survey. They sent out 360,000 texts. And in the text, it said, would you like to see men in women's locker rooms? Well, normally you get about 3% return. They got 23% return. They took all those people and called them, and all those people, or most of them, turned to Republicans because that is one of the things that they hate of what's going on, along with the border and some other things. So in our final couple of minutes, I just want to put a couple of people out there. Robert in Texas, the 5-star plan, fantastic. You want to get his book. You want to go to his website, the 5-star plan. Tina Celine in California. She works with me. You got to have people working that communicate. She gets me people that gets interviewed. We interview a lot of candidates. Jill Howell in Alabama. Paul Bodine in Nevada works very close with me. David Penn in Minnesota. He has his own podcast, really helps us out quite a bit. Sharon Reagan in Florida, who will be on our Flag Day event. Fantastic woman. Chris Marino, who's our chair, who does unbelievable work. Alan Myers in Rhode Island, the chair of chairs. Greg Dutton in Arizona. Dave Williams in Colorado. Marcia McCarthy in Georgia. She just got just got sworn in for the Trump campaign for the Trump administration yesterday. Fantastic lady. I'm so happy that she got. Ann Parchett, who's been on our program, who gets tons of people in Illinois switching from Democrat to Republican. Donna Ellington in Pennsylvania. Jonathan Broadband in Ohio. So those are some of the people that help us quite a bit. I want to say it's been a pleasure coming over here. Let's just remind everybody, precinct strategy. Our election security call tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and our Flag Day event on Saturday from 2 to 6:30, and then the parade. So it's been a pleasure to be here. Action, action, action. I always sign off there. Thank you so much for having me, and we will see you tomorrow.
Now, it's been an honor for us, Steve, and the audience loves you. This worldwide audience loves you, and Hollis and I love you, and we appreciate you, and we thank you for all that you do. And keep going, you youthful SOB. You just have more energy than about 500 people combined, and that's why we love you, because you're nonstop and you refuse to take no. So thank you so much. It's like I said, it's always a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to broadcasting tomorrow, 2 p.m. live Eastern time, right here on the entire Voice of the People USA radio and television network worldwide, as well as this Saturday for the Flag Day event. All the information will be in the links, and you'll be seeing us broadcasting it and talking about it on Politi-Shock this Thursday night at 9 p.m. as well, and running those commercials and advertising the heck out of it, because that's what we do. Steve, thank you so much as always. God bless you, sir. Always a pleasure.